Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and really zero in on the important stuff.
That's the plan.
Today, it's all about Bitcoin. We're looking at some key sources you've shared, trying to make sense of everything from government moves to market whispers.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, distill what really matters for you. We'll start with this big, beautiful bill in the U.S. that the sources mentioned.
The one focused on digital dollar infrastructure.
Exactly. Things like the IRS, HUD. It seems pretty significant for the digital finance space. So, okay, let's unpack this bill first. What are the initial reactions? I mean, what are your sources saying about how the market's taking it?
Well, it's interesting. You've got some Bitcoin bulls who are actually thinking maybe a short-term dip, possibly down towards, say, $90,000.
90, okay.
But the bigger picture, the long-term view, still looks pretty positive. There's still perceived upside.
Right.
And what's really fascinating is the comparison people are drawing to the period after 2020.
Yeah.
Remember, the big stimulus, all that debt. Bitcoin rallied, what, about 38% after similar kinds of spending bills back then? So that history suggests maybe a push towards $150,000 isn't out of the question near term.
Wow, okay. $90 dip potential, but also $150K upside potential. Wow, that's quite a range. How did the sources explain that? Is it just different people looking at different timelines?
Yeah, largely it's about time horizons, you know, and risk appetite. Short-term traders, they might react to the immediate news, maybe take some profits.
Makes sense.
But the long-term holders, the HO dealers, they're looking at the macro picture. Inflation, hard assets, Bitcoin's role there.
And this specific bill, even though it's about a digital dollar.
It still signals a broader government move towards digital finance. That could mean more clarity eventually, or maybe just speeds up mainstream digital asset adoption overall. Depends how it plays out.
Okay. Now, this part really caught my eye. Institutional demand, the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF. Sources say a huge $183 million inflow just on July 2nd.
Yeah, massive. It pushed their total holdings up to, was it $20.76 billion?
That's incredible. That feels like a strong signal of confidence, right?
Absolutely. It signals really steady, robust institutional confidence. And it's not just Fidelity.
Oh.
Other U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs are also seeing their best weekly inflows in about 6 weeks. So definitely renewed enthusiasm there.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, yeah. Despite that, Bitcoin's price action right now is tentative. It's hovering around $108, $109K, just under that $110K resistance.
I saw it dipped below $108K today.
It did. So there's a little bit of a bearish feel creeping in, making some traders nervous, even though the bigger picture, the overall structure, still looks bullish.
That's like a tug of war. Strong institutional buying on one side, but immediate price hesitation on the other.
Precisely.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Let's talk on-chain stuff. These two ancient wallets, 14 years old, moving 20,000 BTC, that's what, $2 billion?
Roughly, yeah. And moved to non-exchange addresses today.
So what's the takeaway there? What does that signal to us?
It's a really key signal. The on-chain data shows these coins aren't heading to be sold. Moving them off exchanges usually means secure, private storage.
Long-term holding, then?
Seems like it. It suggests more of a strategic reshuffle by these whales, these big holders, rather than liquidation. You have to wonder, what are they getting ready for?
Positioning for something big, maybe?
Could be. Moving coins off exchange like that sometimes happens before major market news or maybe new institutional products launching. It looks like they're settling in for a long hold, like a strategic move in a high-stakes game.
Fascinating. Okay, finally, the analysts. Always interesting to see the different predictions, and wow, they seem pretty divided this time.
They really are. You've got Rect Capital, for example, sounding a bit cautious, warning the bull run might peak by October.
October? That's soon.
Yeah, mirroring past cycles, they say. Leaves maybe only 2-3 months of potential gains. But then, flip side, Bitwise. They're projecting a 30% rally just in July.
30%? What's driving that optimism?
They point to things like geopolitical instability, liquidity flows. Basically, factors pushing money into assets like Bitcoin. And then there's another strategist.
Go on.
Believes if Bitcoin can just clear that, roughly $114,000 resistance level we talked about,
Right.
that could open the door for a pretty substantial rally, maybe 25%, potentially up towards $143,000.
So 114K is the magic number to watch there.
Seems to be a key level, yes.
And thinking about those higher price targets, like way higher, inevitably brings MicroStrategy, MSTR, into the conversation for some investors.
That's a really good point. It raises a question for investors, doesn't it? If Bitcoin itself gets, very expensive per coin.
Yeah. prohibitively so for many.
MSTR often comes up as a way to get leveraged exposure.
Hmm.
Because of their strategy, holding so much Bitcoin on their balance sheet, if Bitcoin did hit some of those wild targets like $1 million.
MSTR could potentially offer even bigger percentage gains.
Exactly. More BTC equivalent gains. It's
Wow.
something people watch closely for that amplified exposure.
Well, we certainly covered a lot of ground, a really dynamic picture from government bills and huge institutional flows to these mysterious whale moves and completely different analyst takes.
It really does highlight how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? Macroeconomics, market feeling, what's actually happening on the blockchain. It's all part of the Bitcoin puzzle.
It truly is. So, considering all these different angles, all the moving parts,
Yeah.
what aspect of this whole evolving digital currency story are you going to be watching most closely next? What should you, our listener, keep an eye on?